The views and comments expressed on the following radio program by its hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect the views of rmconair.com or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Makes no difference what group I'm in. I am everyday people.
Everyday People. That's, again, a song that I just totally admire because it exudes, it exemplifies what I stand for. I believe in everyday people. I'm Walter Smith, the host of Smitty's Corner, and today we're going to have an exciting guest, Mr. Ken Williams. He's the owner of Universal Beauty College. It's been in his family for over 85 years, and we're going to just dissect the beauty college industry, as it were, and we're going to also focus in on Ken himself. Unfortunately, he's running a little late, so until he shows up, I guess I'm going to have to carry the show. So I was talking to the engineer saying, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And I know full well I always have something that I can talk about. So I thought what I would do is just kind of talk about my business plans for 2015. I have a Build Your Business for Success 2015 campaign that I plan to implement, and just outlining some of the areas that I intend to work on and talk about goals. It would be to improve the corporate image, increase brand awareness in salons, barbershops, and beauty supply stores, also to increase wholesale distribution throughout the Los Angeles and immediate surrounding areas. Just that in itself is a handful to improve the corporate image and increase brand awareness. It's a real challenge. Part of the challenge has to do with just having the funds to promote. But it's not all about just having the money, too. You got to have the workforce, and the will to accomplish that goal. So that's something that I've set out for my company, and also the other manufacturers that I've talked to. We have that as a common goal. We're going to target key distributors for increased distribution, and that means increased shelf space and inside our beauty supply stores. I have a campaign that I'm working on now. I'm trying to coordinate with local manufacturers and also with actually the LA Sentinel magazine. I want to run an ad, a co-op ad, and I want to get 10 to 15 of our local beauty supply stores and get them each to purchase, a couple $100 worth of product, and we'll tag them as a source where they can pick up the products. So that's one way to increase the demand on a beauty supply store level. In turn, that puts pressure on the wholesale distributors, and again, that's what would be a part of the goal that I have. Then we're going to talk about, for me, we'll deal with the education, doing hotel seminars, trade shows, working in the beauty colleges. And we're going to talk a little bit about, for me, training, and that is getting our hairstylists in the salons to do those seminars and in the trade shows and the beauty schools. And all of that will be a coordinated effort, promotional activities inside the beauty supply stores. I have some real nice tote bags that I'll use to provide the customers. If they purchase a product or two, they'll get a free tote bag. And, of course, I have brochures that will always be passed out to explain our products, how to use them best. And then we're going to be working on introducing a few new products. So I see my guest coming through the door there, Mr. Ken Williams. So happy to see him. How you doing, sir?
Excellent.
All right. Got a seat here for you, and just make yourself comfortable. And like I say, this is a real simple format here, and you got all the history in the world. You get those headphones on.
Thank you, sir.
And you should be able to hear yourself in the mic there. So
I can.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So let's give a round of applause for Ken Williams. He made it here. I know he put forth a special effort, so I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So what we're going to do, we're going to just kind of like shift everything to you. I was kind of like stalling and talking about what my plans were, but we're going to get a little bit into your background. If you see the agenda there, we talk about, going early. Are you a local guy?
Yeah, born and raised here in Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
Graduated from Crenshaw High School.
Okay.
Spent a couple years in Louisiana at Grambling.
Okay.
But came back and basically wanted to work, wanted
Yes.
to make money,
Yes.
and was blessed and just lucky at the same time to find good paying work when I was a young man.
Okay.
Got married early, started a family early.
All righty.
But always was impressed by the history of my family.
Yes.
If you go back into history about families and family-owned and operated businesses,
Right.
Years ago there was Smith and Son
Yes.
and Johnson and Son,
Yes.
and a lot of businesses that were carried on by a family member.
Right.
In 1989, my grandmother, Hazel Williams,
1989.
1989, she fell ill.
Okay.
And I remember going to Daniel Freeman Hospital
Yeah.
and her saying, "Grandson, you need to pick up the torch, you need to pick up the baton and,
Yes.
and carry on in the family tradition.
Yes.
Otherwise it might not exist, after your father retires."
Right.
So I kind of thought about it. I kind of had played around beauty and hair
Yes.
for a long time, but was not really that interested in it.
Okay.
But I started seeking information and found out that the beauty salons and barbershops had
Yes.
been a mainstay in the black community for
Yes.
many, many years.
Right.
And so, also being a young man in 1966, when our school opened on Manchester, Vermont, Dr. Martin Luther King was there.
Right.
And so I got to shake his hand.
Present at the school?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Never knew that.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a beautiful picture of my father and Dr. King in our schools.
Okay.
And my father used to tell me, Dr. King was very much interested in black business.
Yes.
And so, beyond civil rights,
Right.
financial rights.
Yes.
And so that impressed upon me at a young age. And so after spending 24 years in the grocery field,
Okay.
I left the grocery field and became what I call the chief cook and bottle washer. So my dad didn't start me with a desk.
Okay.
I worked my way up, and so I learned how to roll here. I kind of reintroduced myself
Okay.
to cosmetology.
All right. Now let's pause for a second. First of all, this is my first time really having a nice interaction with you. I always seen you from a distance. Hello, how you doing, so forth.
Yeah.
So I find that interesting that you worked in the grocery business for
Absolutely.
how many years?
24 years.
24 years. So
Yes.
was that out of high school and after you went to Grambling?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Out of high school, actually, a very good friend of my father owned a shopping center.
Okay.
And he had a little market in that shopping center called Soul Market.
Okay.
And that's in Compton. And so I just got back from Grambling. I found out that, I liked college, but I didn't like cold weather.
Okay.
And it got real cold out there,
Yeah.
and I said, "Oh no, I'm going back to Southern California."
Yeah. What were you studying at Grambling?
I was studying anthropology, believe it
Okay.
or not. So
Wow.
I liked animals,
Yeah.
and I liked history.
Yes.
And so my first 2 years of general studies,
Right,
but
right.
I loved animals, and so I studied general education.
Yeah.
But I didn't exactly know what direction I wanted to go in. I know I
understand.
wanted to make money.
Right. As we all do, but I can
Yes.
understand that, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. So now, going fast forward to where you were, you said your dad started you off with some of the remedial assignments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like cleaning shampoo bowls.
Okay.
And cleaning the school,
Right.
and understanding what it was to press and curl,
Yes.
and understanding what it was to do hair coloring.
Right.
And so I, kind of outside looking in,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to be the fair-haired guy,
Yeah.
and I didn't really want special treatment.
Right.
Okay, so I wanted to see what the students saw.
Okay.
And so, as they progressed, I progressed.
All righty.
And then I learned the administrative side
Yes.
the most, and, what it is to go through accreditation.
Okay.
And what it is to enroll and apply for financial aid.
Yes.
And that process.
Okay.
So, some of it administrative,
Yes.
some of it hands-on.
Right.
you
Right.
know, and then, you know, student competitions I was always involved in.
Okay.
And, you know, we have a lot of history in competing,
Yes.
you know.
Now, I don't know if we stated it. Your family owned 2 beauty colleges now.
Yes.
And how many had at one time? Was it 3 or 4?
It was 4.
4. Okay. Yeah, I do remember.
Yes. We had a school out in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
And that was the hometown of my now deceased stepmom.
Okay.
Her name was Jo Neal Williams.
Okay.
And her and my father got married after, well, you know, he was married to my mother, and then they divorced, and he got remarried to Jo Neal. And she was from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
So she had a dream of always going back home and placing a school in her hometown.
Okay.
And that happened in the 90s.
Yes.
Come to find out later, okay, she passed away in Charlotte, car accident, and we kept the school for 10 years.
Okay.
But we wind up selling it to a instructor who I trained,
Okay.
and she wind up selling it to T.D. Jakes.
Oh, isn't that something?
So I was there recently. The school still exists, but I don't believe he still owns it.
Yeah.
But you know, the beauty school business is a great business.
Yes.
There are not a lot of ethnic schools.
Yes.
You know, I'm also the former vice president of the state board,
Yeah.
and so that gave me an opportunity to learn more about the field and
Yes.
you know, the politics of the field.
Right. Right.
What it takes to own a salon
Yes.
and to manage a salon.
right.
So, and now I own a salon also.
Okay.
And so, you know, I kind of feel like I have a well-rounded background.
Yes.
And we exist to help, and to help young men and women
Yeah.
find a career that has some advantages.
Yes.
You know, I'm at an age now that I used to, when I worked for the grocery company, they kind of shopped me around to different stores.
Yeah.
And sometimes I worked in the valley.
Right.
But you know, I didn't ever like getting on a freeway and being stuck in traffic.
Right.
So it's a wonderful opportunity, because in greater Los Angeles, there's over 7,500 beauty salons.
Yeah.
In the state, there's over 48,000.
48,000.
So it's a very very lucrative field.
Yes.
And you know, the jobs are there.
Yeah.
You know, you can't go very far without seeing a beauty salon.
Yeah.
Either they're, you know, 4 or 5 station salons, or the largest salon that I know is in Inglewood, and it's got over 40 stations.
Yeah.
And so whether you're up north or, you know, San Diego, Oceanside, there are many, many salons that provide a great opportunity
Yeah.
for women and, you know, ethnic women.
Yes.
To
Yeah, and we're going to get into a lot of that. I really enjoy what you're sharing right there today. Now, I had a question. I want to go back. You know, you talked about how your dad, and the reason why I want to do that is because maybe some younger men may see this show, and they're going to appreciate just what your dad put you through. Did you appreciate the fact that he had you start off, you know, from scratch, as it were, doing the remedial jobs, and then you advance step by
Not all
step?
the time.
Okay. It wasn't fun.
It wasn't. It was hard work, but I learned to enjoy hard work.
Yes.
Okay, hard work pays off.
Right.
I don't care what occupation, what
Yes.
field you choose.
Yes.
You know, and I kind of learned that way back with my days with Vaughn's Grocery Company.
Yes.
I was able to excel in the grocery field.
Right.
I started off as a box boy
Yes.
and worked my way up to manager.
We have something similar there. I started off with Sears and Roebuck in the shipping receiving department, so I know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, you know, that was my training ground.
Yes.
And as a manager, I worked a lot of hours. I worked 48 hours a week
Yeah.
for most weeks.
Okay.
But it gave me the opportunity to buy a home early
Yes.
and not to be, you know, struggling trying to find a job.
Right.
So, you know, I was thankful for that experience.
Stability in your life
Absolutely.
at an early age.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So,
yes. Okay, so you were telling me that you learned to do some, you know, hairstyling yourself.
yes.
To what degree, what depth did that get? Did you get involved in that? That's what I'm trying to say there.
I learned it enough to know that I didn't want to be a hairstylist
Okay.
full time.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the education side
Yes.
of it, and I kind of analyzed the things that I saw some hairstylists doing wrong.
Right.
In other words, the financial side.
Yes.
You know, a good hairstylist can make hundreds of dollars a day.
Yeah.
But I was concerned with what they were doing with the money. Were they saving?
Yes.
Were they purchasing homes?
Yes.
Were they investing?
Right.
Were they paying taxes?
Yes.
So I looked at that from the business side
Okay.
and what it would take to turn a stylist into a salon owner.
Right.
So I started to add that to the curriculum of our school.
Okay.
So they'd have a well-rounded education.
You know, I was going to ask you that question. I had that opportunity that Sunday a few weeks ago to attend the Cosmetology Association meeting, and it was quite interesting for me. First one, I actually joined the association. Is that part of the curriculum in terms of the business aspect that you just spoke about? Okay.
One of the chapters of the textbook is called Salon Management.
Okay.
But it goes well beyond what you would believe is just managing a salon.
Yes.
In other words, a lot of salons are, in fact, 95% of the industry are independent operators.
Right.
But there are some salon, that work on commission
Yes.
and salary.
Yes.
So, I try and educate and give our students an opportunity to learn about all of that.
Right.
So some people can step out on their own easily
Yes.
and learn how to command a decent clientele. Others cannot.
Right.
So it's better, for example, like they have Supercuts.
Yes.
Supercuts works on a hourly rate and a commission.
Yes.
And some people are comfortable with that.
Right.
Okay. Other people are mature enough to step out and say, well, I can work on commission,
Yes.
or I can work on a booth rent.
Right.
But you need to be able to graduate to a booth rent, because if you're fresh out of school and don't have a clientele,
Right.
and you go in a salon that's busy, then that's intimidating.
Yes.
So I try and read the maturity level of my students,
Right.
so I know how to counsel them
Yes.
and recommend which direction they should go in.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about the profile of students. What type, and I know that vary, that's a wide open subject matter right there, but what would you say, how would you define a typical beauty college student coming in their first year into cosmetology?
Well, I kind of tease students a lot of times. I ask them to tell me where their zygomaticus muscle is.
Okay.
Now, zygomaticus muscle is a muscle in your face that
Okay.
allows you to smile.
All right.
So, who wants to go and get their hair done from someone that seems to be in a bad mood,
Okay.
doesn't dress appropriately,
Yes.
hair's not done?
Yes.
In other words, if you're a beauty professional, a
Right.
beautician, you have to look the part,
Yes.
and you have to act the part.
Very much so.
So some of it, I call it cosmopsychology.
Okay.
In other words, analyzing and reading people,
Yes.
and understanding how you can attract people to you
Okay.
by the way you speak and
Yes.
the way you look.
Yes.
And that's how and then word of mouth
Okay.
will help a new candidate
Okay.
to achieve what they're looking for.
Now, is that textbook, or is that something that you brought to the table? Or
That is a little bit of both.
Okay.
The
Okay.
textbook, the first chapter book, is called Life Skills.
Yes.
In other words, what skills have you honed into you,
Right.
prior to?
Okay.
Some people are introverted. In
Yes.
other words, they don't have a lot of self-confidence.
Right.
Well, I try and bring that out in the students.
Yes.
Okay, to be able to laugh at themselves. Some
Yes.
people can't laugh at themselves.
That's right.
Well, you know what? We're all imperfect.
Yes.
And so we can celebrate that about each other.
Right.
And we don't have to look so harshly.
Yes.
Women are sensitive about their hair. You have to understand
Yes.
that some people are overly sensitive about their hair.
Right.
So you have to be able to detect that in a client,
Yeah.
and be able to recommend things to a client. Some clients come to us and say, well, I want to look like Beyonce.
Yes.
Well, if you don't look like Beyonce, we can't make you look like Beyonce. So,
Okay. So go ahead.
So, in other words, I kind of analyze that.
Yes.
For example, today I had interviews,
Okay.
and I try and lay it out on the table what
Right.
the course is about and orientate students before they get into school.
Right.
And tell them, well, these are the pluses, these are the minuses.
Right.
Okay. Some people love computers
Right.
and are, destined to sit behind a desk in front of a computer.
Right.
Well, that's not a cosmetologist.
Right.
You're going to work on your feet.
Yeah.
You're going to have situations where, hair may not come out to the satisfaction of a client. Well,
Right.
how do you handle those situations?
Right.
So we try and give them situational training.
Okay.
So
Now, I have a question there. Like in basketball, you have a bunch of guys that try out for a team, and the coach is looking at the talent, and he can see perhaps this person has it and the other person doesn't. The aptitude for basketball, is that similar in cosmetology, or you don't go like that? You give everybody that fair shot, or how does it work?
Well, the first thing we do with enrollment is they take an aptitude test.
Okay.
So based on how they score on that test, it gives us a little bit of insight as to whether or not they are, can read, write, and comprehend.
Yes.
Okay. Cosmetologists, some are born with natural talent, others do not.
Okay.
We've trained men, women, all nationalities,
Yes.
and it's just basic following direction and understanding that it's art and science put together.
Yes.
So-
Art and science.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So some people can look at a person and say, well, you'd be good with long hair
Yes.
or with short hair.
Right.
So we try and give them insight to pick a style that someone can easily wear.
Right.
So if a client comes out of our school and their hair's a mess the next day,
Yes.
then it doesn't serve any purpose.
Right.
So, we try and design and give someone something that they can have wearability with
Okay.
for at least a couple weeks.
Okay. Now, I've done classes at different beauty colleges. I hope to do one at yours. I was talking to Jasmine about it recently.
Oh, excellent.
What are the stages? Like in college, you have freshman, junior, et cetera. How does it work in the beauty college?
Well, we basically work it as a quarterly system. In other
Okay.
words, the course length is a clock hour program. It's 1,600 hours.
Okay.
And we evaluate them every 25%. So
Okay.
4, 8, and 12.
Okay.
So, we'll call them freshmen up to 400.
Okay.
Then they're not a senior at 800, but they're a sophomore.
Okay.
Okay, and then after 12, then they're a senior.
Okay. Now, the state board is $1,600 or
Yes.
Oh, okay.
For cosmetology.
for cosmetology?
Yes.
Okay. I had a couple of cosmetology questions someone asked me to ask you, and I was hoping to ask these questions before you got here, so see if it was okay to ask you, but I'm going to ask now.
Sure.
Is his understanding that the state board has eliminated the press and curl from the curriculum? Is
That is correct.
Oh, cool. So how practical is that to have that happen, being that 35% of the stylist work in the salon is press and curl? That was the question. So is that a good question?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I thought so, too,
That's an
yeah.
excellent question.
Yeah. Dr. Tony No asked me to ask that.
Okay. Is it a viable question? Yes.
Okay.
Do we train students to press and curl? Yes, we do. But the state has done studies, and they decided that what they considered minimal competency,
Okay.
that black people are minorities.
Yes.
We're going to continue to be a minority.
Yes.
The state, in its infinite wisdom, years ago decided, and I want to count maybe 7 or 8 years ago, decided to go to what's called the national exam.
Okay.
Okay. So national exam, you could guess the meaning that more of the states use this exam as a measuring stick.
Yes.
As
In
to
terms of being qualified?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, obviously, African American people, we're always going to get press and curls.
Right.
But, as I said, we're the minority.
Yes.
So when they went to national exam, they said, okay, here's a set of skills that could take most hairstylists just about anywhere.
Okay.
And it had a distinct opportunity. The state was looking at the fact that they had just adopted laws of reciprocity. Reciprocity means that you can go from state to state,
Okay.
basically.
With your one license?
Yes.
Okay.
In other words, a cosmetologist in California can go to Arizona, they can go to Nevada, they can go to many other states
Yeah.
and not have to take a licensing exam again.
Okay.
Some states require that you still take a written exam.
Okay.
But most of the states that have reciprocity don't require you to take a practical exam.
All right.
So they kind of looked at it as a big picture. And then they also look at complaints.
Yes.
And the complaints that come in were minimal.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, some people don't know how to use a pressing comb, and
Right.
you might get a burn, but it was minimal.
Okay.
The things that they concern themselves the most with are the chemical services.
Okay.
So, when you're dealing with heat, you should never bring it too close to the scalp, otherwise you will get burned.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Common sense.
exactly.
Yes.
Okay. So that was a cause of concern for a lot of people, but students that want education can
Yes.
still receive the education. If you're not proficient in press and curl, then you can seek that information and that training
Okay.
to keep your skills up.
All right. So by eliminating, that means the theory part of it, what does that mean from the program? What does that mean?
Okay, it means that the practical skill sets, there's actually 10 domain services that
Okay.
they have to present to a state board and evaluator.
Okay.
And so they go through what are the most dangerous of procedures.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what they do. That's what they test on.
And that's why you mentioned chemicals, because that can,
Right.
yes, okay.
Okay,
That
so
makes sense.
exactly.
Yeah.
Then they also eliminated the use of a live model.
Okay.
So they do their domain services on a doll head.
Okay.
So it's kind of helped in a way because when I was appointed as a member of the board, they actually had a 9-month wait to take your exam.
Okay.
And part of that was because the exam, the practical exam, was a lengthy exam.
Okay.
So they kind of measured it out to the point where they said, okay, we're still going to have enforcement in the field.
Yes.
And anybody can call the state board and make a complaint if if they've received bad service.
Right.
So
Does that go on a lot?
it happens, yes, it
Yes,
does
okay.
quite often. It
Okay.
does. Not, still not to extent where it's a major problem, but,
Right.
there, like I said, just the sheer number of salons,
Yes.
you're going to get some complaints.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Okay.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So, I mean, when it first came to my ear that they were alleviating press and curl, then I said, well, that may not be a good thing.
Okay.
But they were having a lot of failures too,
Yeah.
and so they wanted to minimize, the
Helping
failure.
the student move along.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Then they also encourage continuing education as I do.
Yes.
So,
Now, I had Doris here a few weeks ago, and she made a comment which I thought was interesting. Some girls, some students, because their parents are doing the kitchen press and curl, they learn a little bit about press and curl before they even enter school.
absolutely.
So that holds true, would you say?
Yeah, I'd probably say about 70% of my student body
Yes.
comes to school with some general knowledge
Right.
of hair.
Okay.
If you look at young women,
Yes.
they grow up playing with dolls.
Okay.
They get familiar with combing the doll's head.
Yes.
And so they develop some rudiment skills
Right.
while they're young.
Yes.
And then
Barbie dolls.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And then as they get older, then
Yeah.
they begin to receive press and curls.
Okay. What we're going to do right now, we're going to take a break
Sure.
for the sponsor, and then we'll get back into this discussion.
Outstanding.
All righty.
What's your style? Curly? Straight? Wavy? Or maybe you like it natural? Introducing Secret Styling Hair Care Products by Smith Products Company, LLC. A complete line of hair moisturizers, shampoos, conditioners, and an assortment of other hair styling aids formulated for today's fashion-conscious consumer. Enhance your style. Get the secret.
Are you a diabetic? Need some energy? Need to quench your thirst? Try Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink, the only energy drink named suitable for diabetics by the American Diabetic Association. And it's now available with no calories, no carbs, no sugar, and no fat, and a smooth, natural blend of energy, vitamins, and minerals. Need to quench your thirst? Try Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink, the only energy drink named suitable for diabetics by the American Diabetic Association. And it's now available with no calories, no carbs, no sugar, and no fat, and a smooth, natural blend of energy, vitamins, and minerals. Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink is the healthiest, best-tasting energy drink around. For more information and online ordering with free shipping, please visit hiphopbev.com. Remember, Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink, suitable for diabetics, great for everyone.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, I'm again happy to have Mr. Ken Williams with us, the owner of two beauty colleges here in the Los Angeles area. One is located on Vermont and Manchester, and the other is in the Leimert Park area, Crenshaw off of Vernon Junior area. Okay, very good. When we were off the air for the sponsor, we were talking a little bit about the State Board of Cosmetology and that question as the operating from an independence standpoint. So I wanted you to elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, most states have a board, and they are the sole regulating body of the industry. Our state is a little different. We have two regulatory bodies. We have our state board, and then we have the Bureau for Private Post-Secondary Education.
Okay.
Now, the Bureau covers all schools, all private post-secondary schools. In other words, independent private schools.
Right.
They don't regulate schools like Trade Tech, El Camino, or the public colleges.
Yes.
But the Bureau, we have to be approved by them as well. So we have to have dual oversight.
Okay.
And sometimes in the past that has kind of caused some confusion. So right now there's a push for our state board to have sole oversight.
Okay.
And so everybody doesn't agree with that, but the Bureau basically came into being because there were several schools that were closing.
Yes.
And they were kind of leaving students in a bad position with their closing. So the state decided to create another entity to provide some security for schools that may close and leave students with, loss of tuition.
Yes.
And situations like that.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. You know, going back to the meeting that I attended a couple of weeks ago Sunday, there were a couple of things that I was just observing as a newcomer, and one thing that I observed, there weren't a lot of veteran hairstylists present at the meeting.
True.
And I was wondering why that is the case. Is it that they don't see any value in that arrangement? Or is there a communication problem? What would you say is the case? I know you were the vice president of the association one time.
Sure. I kind of believe that, there's a large licensing body out there. In other words, there's a lot of licensees, but I think like many industries, the age has, there are stylists that are getting up in age.
Yes.
And they just don't get out like they used to.
Okay.
So I think that's part of the reason. And I've seen a sea change, whereas used to be cosmetologists would come out in force to meetings, and then there'd be no barbers.
Okay.
Now I see barbers wanting to get involved.
Okay.
And you have to understand the industry involves hairstylists, barbers, estheticians, which are skincare, and manicures and pedicures.
Right.
So everybody has a season.
Yes.
And so as I've seen, the cosmetologists have become a little older.
Yes.
And they don't want to be involved in politics as the younger generation. So there's a new generation. The CCC is trying to reach out to the newer, younger membership.
Yeah, I take my hat off to Carolyn Young. She worked hard to get those students there,
Yes.
and she was really impressing upon them the importance of the association, trying to help them
Absolutely.
to see clearly the benefit of being a part of that association. So I take my hat off to her for the fine job she did.
I do also.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with a couple of the stylists there that were on stage. In particular, Risa.
Risa,
Yeah,
yes.
because I saw you had an exchange with her, so that's why I tossed that
did.
name out.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned some guy, Bradley, or
Yeah, Patrick Bradley.
Okay, yeah.
Is a world-renowned hairstylist.
Okay.
He's a product knowledge expert. He travels all over the country.
Okay.
And he's been a mentor to many, many hairstylists.
Alrighty.
One of the things that I encourage is to never stop learning.
Yes.
You know, whether you're licensed, unlicensed, continuing education has always been a primary concern of mine for the
Okay.
industry.
Now, what about the YouTube education? Does it have its
Don't
place? or-
recommend it.
Yeah.
You know, certainly you and I, we grew up in a world without YouTube.
That's right.
For a hairstylist to believe that they can watch a video and become expert just is not reality.
Yes.
Okay. One of the things that I pride myself and makes my school as strong as it is, I call it the three-legged stool.
Okay.
In other words, superior theoretical knowledge, superior practical knowledge, and then having a clientele
Yes.
that will support the school.
Right.
Well, one of our strong points is that we have a very loyal clientele.
Yes.
You know, clients that have been coming to school for many, many years.
Now, you're referring to consumers, people out the street
Yes,
that come get their
yes.
hair done.
The general public.
They
yes.
play a key role in your operation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And with any school.
Yes. And
Because-
I guess someone might take that for granted, but I do know even with the barber situation, I used to go to the barber college and get haircuts back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's a key ingredient, that the students have enough exposure to the practical
Yes.
that they can become proficient hairstylists.
Okay. Now, a thought just came to my mind. In that process right there, do some of the students end up taking some of those clients with
Absolutely.
them? Okay.
Absolutely.
It does happen, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And actually, we encourage that.
Okay.
Because maybe because the school has been in my family so long,
Yes.
I take a personal interest in the students
Right.
and their well-being,
Right.
and placement, and making sure that they have adequate training
Yes.
before they get out there.
Right. Okay. Now, was Risa a student of yours or
No.
No? Okay.
No, but Risa, because of my background with the state board,
Yes.
I have friends at almost every school.
I got you.
Pacific Beauty College,
Mr. Goins.
Mr. Goins
Yes.
is a graduate of my grandmother's school.
Okay. He used to do hair. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Is that
absolutely.
right? Okay.
Outstanding hairstylist.
Okay.
Mr. Elton Robinson
Yes.
is the dean over at Trade Tech.
Right.
I've visited many schools,
Okay.
and I celebrate the schools.
Yes.
And because this field, all the way back to Madam C.J. Walker,
Yeah.
being the first woman millionaire.
Right.
This field has provided very viable job
Yes.
opportunities.
Means of living.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
In other words, hairstylists, some of them make way more money than I'll ever make.
Yes.
So I'm very happy.
Yeah.
That
Now, the other student, I didn't mean to cut you off. The
That's
other
okay.
student there, I think her name was something Lynn or something, and she talked about how she got pregnant, and she still continued to go to school. And I wanted to kind of go in that direction some for a young lady that may be listening, so forth. She's concerned. How does that work?
Well,
Do you have problems in that area, or dealing with a lot of women? I imagine so, huh?
if my father was here, he'd probably say this is one of the greatest fields for people that have kind of been outside of, traditional education.
Yes.
Traditional education, you graduate from high school, you go to 4 years of college,
Right.
you get a BA, maybe you go get a master's degree,
Yes.
and then you go look for a job.
Right.
Well, cosmetology is about 1.5 years of training.
Okay.
In 1.5 years you're licensed. And even if you continue to seek education, well, now you have an occupation that's
Right.
flexible,
Right.
where you can work hours that you traditionally a regular job won't give you.
Right.
So it's a stepping stone. A lot of people make it a full-fledged career.
Yes.
Other people might work in the industry for a few years
Yes.
and get it to take them other places.
Right.
So that's the beauty behind it.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting when I went to the Cosmetology Association meeting, and I kept hearing Miko, the name Miko, and I was trying to figure out, who is this Miko?
Actually, it's Nico.
Nico, okay.
Yes.
Got me straight on that. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Nico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nico is a young man. And, this is one of the things that I encourage all the time. Young men,
Yes.
not just young women.
Right.
Because most women will tell you they'd love to have a man do their hair.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question also.
Absolutely.
Is there any
so.
truth in it? Do men do hair better than women, or is it just a man-woman thing?
I haven't yet met a man that can hold a real decent candle to a woman.
Okay.
Okay. I've seen women that could actually braid with one hand.
Yes.
Okay. We have a graduate that.
You said braid with one hand?
Yes, I've seen them braid with one hand.
Yes.
So, but our history is really strong. We have a graduate. Her name is Nantel. She actually braided Bo Derek's hair in the movie 10. I know
Yes.
that's dating a lot of people.
Yeah.
But,
I remember it.
But that's a part of our history. In other words, and then that's one of the other areas that we teach.
Yes.
Braiding. There's been a lot of controversy over the years about braiders.
I saw on Facebook there was a state that the court overruled the attempt to not allow that person to have license to do braiding.
Sure.
Yeah.
Here in the state of California, there's a lot of debate on both sides. Should braiders have a license?
Right. And what's behind that when it's all said and done?
Well, a lot of people consider it a ethnic practice.
Okay.
Now, braiding is part of the normal curriculum in cosmetology, but African American braider is a distinct difference.
Okay.
And it's actually micro braiding.
Yes.
When you braid, hundreds of braids in the hair, that's different than kind of like a Pippi Longstocking braid, you know, 2 braids on both sides,
Gotcha.
on the head. So this is an art and a science, but there's some science behind the art because many women have seen damage and permanent damage with hair loss.
Braiding the hair too tight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
Rubber
a
bands
concern.
and all those other little things.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So those are the concerns that the industry has and our state board has.
Yes. Do you deal with training in I hate to sound so naive about it, but wigs and weaving and all of that? Yeah, they get their education there too.
Well, what's the difference between a doll head and a wig? Well, one has hair on it and that's permanent, one is not.
Okay.
So we've had clients that come in and bring their wigs and drop them off, and we shampoo, condition them, and set them.
Okay.
And it's not far removed from weaving.
Yes.
So with weaving, they attach hair.
Yes.
A wig, we put it on a what's called a plain head.
Yeah.
And we can style it and set it according to the client's liking.
Yeah.
And we've done that before also.
Okay. Now, racially speaking, men to girls, boys to girls, or men to women, what is the ratio? Maybe one guy for every 10 women, or?
Okay. Are you talking about industry stylists?
Just in your experience, in terms of students desiring to learn how to style hair.
Right now, I have about 30 women, and I have 3 men.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
So it's 10
a
to
barbering
1 there.
school would be probably the opposite.
Right.
Okay. But women are discovering, and that's one of the things that I've kind of put on my agenda for this new year, to do more cross training.
Yes.
Because a haircut is a haircut to me.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Cosmetologists learn how to cut men and women's hair.
Right.
A barber should learn the same.
Yes.
So I don't make a clear distinction.
Okay.
But it's kind of, it's just like you mentioning, racially.
Yeah.
Well, it's, it's the sexist. In
Yes.
other words, a lot of men don't want to call themselves a cosmetologist.
Right.
They'd rather call themselves a barber.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's the same with women.
Yeah.
Although there are many more women barbers coming along.
Right.
So, you know, like I said, I don't make a distinction.
Right.
You know, men come in and get their hair cut
Right.
by women, and they
Right.
enjoy it. And then also, men should experience what a good shampoo is.
Okay, can you say the men are better students than women, or vice versa? How does that go?
I would say the men that I've trained
Yes.
have a maturity level
Okay.
that some of the women don't have.
Is David
but-
Williams one of your students?
David Williams, actually, we used to have a high school program
Okay.
called ROP, and
Okay.
David was in our high ROP program,
Okay.
high school program, many years ago.
Yeah, I
so
was going
he's
to
a
ask you
good
about
friend.
high school. At Fremont, I remember some of the girls walking around in their white gowns.
Yes.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that still active in the high school level? now?
Not here, I don't believe, in the state.
Okay.
The largest program, I believe, used to be at a school called Scrock,
Okay.
which is in Torrance.
Yes.
But because of budget cuts, many of the RP programs have gone the way of budget cuts.
I got you. Okay. All right. Delving a little bit more into the actual curriculum within your school there, how do you approach that? What's the first thing they learn? I know you said you do the aptitude tests, and then from there you go to where, and what do they end up as a final course of training before they exit your program?
Well, basically, in the beginning stages of the training, it's pro image, professional image.
Okay.
So we want to see how they speak,
Yes.
how they look,
Okay.
how they look at themselves. It's
Right.
the beauty business.
Yes.
So we want to know how they carry themselves.
Okay.
Do they speak like they want to be a rapper?
Yeah.
Or do they say yes sir or no ma'am?
I got you.
Okay, how do they greet a client? Okay, do they say, hey you, come over here?
Right.
Or do they meet and greet the client? Do
Yes.
they analyze the scalp?
Yeah. Now that seems like something basic, but
Yes,
they
but
have
it's
to.
not basic.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
So a lot of times, you know, in the beginning, we teach the students how to drape properly.
Yes.
So they will practice on each other
Right.
and make sure the drape is snug.
Yes.
And make sure that the shampoo cape doesn't touch the skin.
Okay.
Okay. Do they know how to put somebody in a shampoo bowl?
Right.
And make sure that the water temperature is correct.
Right.
It's a lot of little details.
Yes.
Okay. So we try and take them slow as they need to go or fast as they need to go.
Right.
We try to analyze, you know, what kind of person they are.
Okay.
So those are the beginning stages, and a lot of it is textbook.
Okay. So if a person has an accelerated ability, will they be able to accelerate, or do they have to stay with the class that they're with?
No, we encourage the opportunity if someone has, for example, today I was enrolling a student. She said, my grandmother graduated from this school.
Wow.
So it's been in her family
Yeah.
since her grandmother.
Right.
So, you know, I was encouraged by that.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I look at her and say, oh, well, you know everything already. No. But I'm encouraged, you know, by the fact that she's had exposure
Yes.
to cosmetology at an early age.
Yes.
But we try and move with the students, but we have to also look at the collective student body.
Right.
You know, are they all on the same page theoretically?
Yes.
In other words, do they know what bacteriology is, disinfection, sanitation?
Yeah.
Some of the, we call it contraindications.
Okay.
In other words, if someone has extreme breakage on their hair,
Right.
what do we do?
Okay.
You know, what do we suggest? What do we recommend?
Right.
Sometimes it's just about getting the hair healthy.
Yes.
Okay. Skin conditions.
Right.
You know, what if they have, alopecia?
Yes.
What if they have eczema?
Yes.
You know, things of that nature.
Okay.
So, and even right now we do a lot of trimming with the trimmers,
Right.
like barbers do.
Yes.
In other words, a lot of men have suffered from, you know, skin irritations
Yes.
from razors, and have, you know, razor bumps.
Right.
You know, what do we recommend
Yes.
in those? And then locks and twists.
Yes.
Locking and twisting techniques is something that we specialize in.
Right.
So, you know, the shampooing and conditioning and drying of locks
Yes.
is very important to to have proper drying procedure on locks, because inside of the lock you can actually develop funguses and mildew.
Yeah.
If you have someone that's not properly trained
I've
to
talked
manage.
to some professional stylists, and they say clients would come to their chair, and when they get into the hair, that's what they would experience
Yes.
at times. Yeah. It's hard to believe, but
It's true.
that's a reality, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay. In terms of students that are looking to make it a career, like you said, some choose to, some choose not to, and you mentioned placement. How does that work in terms of you helping them, assisting them, and the colleges assist them in finding work in the field?
Absolutely. Well, every Saturday afternoon, I'm probably out at 2 or 3 salons.
Okay.
So I will go visit salons, and especially salons that have called me. We
Okay.
get many phone calls from salons that are seeking professionals to go to work.
Okay.
So I kind of take it upon myself, and I've probably been in and out of over 200 salons
Isn't that something?
in the greater Los Angeles area.
Yeah.
So, and then even professionals in the movie industry call
Yes.
me, and sometimes they need temporary work.
Right.
So they'll call me. So I'm very proud of the fact that I have established connections
Yes.
in the field that will help students kind of get their first feet in the door.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. I imagine it's very rewarding, too, to watch a student come in at the very beginning stages and then see them progress through your program, and then ultimately to see them in the field working.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I don't know why Kim Kimball, in her infinite wisdom last year, asked me to be a part of her show, but she did. I got a lot of feedback from that.
Yeah.
I was told I didn't know how to take it. They said, "You're way funny." Okay, so I was
You were
happy to be a
natural? Is that it?
comedian.
I missed that one. Okay.
Okay, so yeah,
Was
I
that
got
a
a lot
fun
of feedback.
experience for
Yeah,
you?
that was fun. She actually, 2 of the stylists in her shop, she was having a little bit of trouble with.
Yeah.
And see, I didn't know how deep reality show went.
Right.
These 2 people didn't know that they were coming to the school.
Okay.
She said, "Oh, we're going out on a job."
Yeah.
And she wind up in central Los Angeles in front of the school. And so it was very comedic. There was a
Okay.
lot of comedy
Yeah.
in them coming back to school and doing very meaningful, menial jobs.
Yeah. They were above that.
Exactly.
Way past
In
that.
other words, I was ordered to shampoo them.
Yeah.
Tell them to do shampoos
Okay.
and do things that they normally didn't
These
do.
are stylists that are in Hollywood dealing with
Yes,
celebrities. So
absolutely.
To speak. Okay.
So
That must have
yes.
been an interesting series.
That was.
Okay.
You can catch that on demand if you want a good laugh.
Okay. All right. I'll do that. And now, again, the school has been in your family for over 85 years. What role did, I know you talked a little bit about your dad. What role did your mother play in influencing you as far as the cosmetology university college goes?
Well, it was my stepmom,
Stepmom, yes.
more than my mother. My mother was a school teacher.
Okay.
So I kind of come from a family of education.
Okay.
But my stepmom, Jo Neal Williams, was an outstanding hairstylist.
Yeah.
She worked in Beverly Hills.
Okay.
She had the opportunity to move, and then train. Once she graduated from the school, she became a top stylist underneath some other top stylists.
Right.
And then she decided to come back into education.
Okay.
So that always inspired me, and I always was very impressed with her look.
Yes.
She was always manicured,
Yes.
and hair was always just perfect.
Right.
And it's a sign of the times. All women want to look good,
Yes.
and their hair and nails are a part of that.
Yes.
So I'm also very proud that we have a very small manicure program.
Okay.
And this is a distinct opportunity for young men and women.
Yes.
If they're pressed for time and they want to get a short course. This is only 400 hours.
Okay.
But I'm very happy to say that actually I have a manicurist that's going to take her exam next week. I'm very optimistic she's going to pass.
Okay.
Have one that went the latter part of last year, got her license,
Right.
and is working in a top nail salon
Okay.
in Los Angeles here, actually in North Hollywood. And so that's another opportunity
Yes.
for, young men and women to, find a job that's it's really not a job, it's a career, it's an opportunity. What's the difference between a job? Well, jobs are basically stationary.
Yeah.
You go to work and that's it.
Right.
But when you're a licensed person, then you have the opportunity to go anywhere.
Yes.
So, that's a distinct advantage.
Yes. I know plenty of stylists in my day working with manufacturers.
Absolutely.
Have traveled all over the world.
Truly.
Hairstyling, yes.
Yeah.
And they never imagined that would be the
Right.
case when they first started out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How does the cosmetology schools view manufacturers? I know a lot of them want to get at you and get their products in your system. How do you view that? How does the state view that?
The state, I think there's a way that private schools look at it. I'm very open.
Yes.
And in fact, I had a graduate alumni come in this morning and do a product class.
Okay.
And it was actually what they call a green relaxer.
Yes.
In other words, less harmful.
Right.
In the relaxer arena, you basically have sodium hydroxide,
Right.
which is a very harsh chemical.
Yes.
And you have several others. There's calcium and lithium.
Willie Morrow's known for that.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. That are a lot milder, but they just don't really do the job
Right.
completely. So, we live in the future now,
Yeah.
and technology has created a lot of opportunity.
Did you see something in that class there?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right,
And
yeah.
and so I kind of take a look at it in a pessimistic way.
I understand.
In other words,
Yeah.
does this really work?
Right. What
this
is
is-
likely that
okay.
happening? We've been for centuries doing hair,
Absolutely.
and all of a sudden
Yeah.
you found something that's going to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
What is the likelihood of that being the case?
That's right. And it was a hard lesson learned with I want to say maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
A product called Brazilian Blowout.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Okay, and there was a lot of controversy because it had some harmful chemicals in it.
Yes. Formaldehyde.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay.
So that has kind of left the industry in a way kind of skeptical
Right.
of what's new.
Yes.
But they have a lot of products that are hitting the market now that claim to be more natural.
Right.
And have natural ingredients.
Right.
That are less harmful.
Yes. Now, how do trends in the industry affect your business? For example, we know the natural look is in now, and a lot of women are doing their work at home, and the relaxer business, quote unquote, is supposed to be down. I know from a retail sales standpoint it is, but is that the case inside the beauty colleges?
I would say we're probably doing as many relaxers as we have in the past. It's
Okay.
it's not really down. But, we kind of cater to a different segment of the population. In other
Okay.
words, you mentioned earlier about do clients normally follow a
Yes.
student. Some do, but some don't.
Right.
Some of them are traditional beauty school clients.
Yes.
And they don't want to go anywhere else. They
have a routine in
yes,
place.
They enjoy the fact that
Yes.
maybe they're not seeing the same person all the time.
Okay.
They may be enjoying the fact that they're saving, $20 or $30.
Yes.
So it's hard for our students to really capture
Right.
those clients
Yes.
because after they're graduated, they're professionals now.
That's
okay?
right.
They're not students anymore. And then they want to command professional prices.
Yes.
So, there's kind of a swing in it, but, for example, if you talk about weaving
Yes.
and trends, okay,
Yes.
weaving is big business now.
That's right.
Hair sales is big
Yes.
business, but it's still a trend,
Yes.
okay? As we go back to natural and as some women decide to go back to natural, then the hair business will probably level off
That's
or
right.
decline.
Yes.
So it's a constant cycle,
Yes.
and so short hair might be in for a minute.
Right.
Long hair may go again.
Well, speaking of that now, where does the Cosmetology University play a role in catching those trends? Are you usually ahead of the trend? Are you behind it? Or how does it work?
We're normally ahead of the trend simply because we have a constant flow of new students.
Yes.
If you're a stylist, you've been licensed,
Yes.
you've been licensed 10 or 15 years.
Right.
You haven't been in a beauty school.
Yes.
You haven't attended a hair show
Yes.
to see what's new. You kind of get pigeonholed to the
Yes.
point where, guess what? All I want to do is press and curl. All
Right.
I'm going to do is
Right.
a few relaxers.
That's your safety net there.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, going back to Risa, relaxing the hair, coloring the hair in the same setting, same session. You know, that was like
Yes.
unheard of in times past.
Yes, that's very
and
true.
she just very confidently spoke about doing it with no problem whatsoever.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, another thing I noticed too, there at the show, they were using the electric curling irons. What do you teach in beauty college? Electric versus the traditional way, you know, Kazuri curling irons?
Right.
How does that work?
I am not a big fan of electric curling irons.
I understand.
Now, the electric flat irons are very popular right now, and
Yes.
we use those extreme, but we
Okay.
still use Marcel irons, and we will continue to use Marcels, not because they're necessarily better or
Yes.
hold heat, but the difference is having that cord following you around. You don't have the freedom
Right.
with electric curling iron as you do with the Marcels.
Okay. Now, you know what? It's been a treat here having you here. This has been a great conversation, and our time is kind of caught up with us there. So I'm going to have you back another time here so we can continue it, you know, and work on the second part 2 of it. But I really enjoyed this discussion here, and hopefully you've given the listeners some insight into the beauty business also. Again, if a person is interested in going to beauty college, what would be their first steps?
Well, yeah, you have to be a high school graduate. You have to have a California ID or a driver's license.
Okay.
You have to have a Social Security card.
Okay.
And actually, a recent change with our state board, and this just came to me recently, is that the state board is going to allow people to get a license without a social.
Okay.
And that's very, very new. So that possibly won't be a requirement. But
Right.
we're going to encourage students to come in. Right now we have specials with enrollment.
Yes.
We're looking to train some more good cosmetologists, and the demand is out there.
Okay.
So I'm very happy to be here, and I'll be happy to come back and do a part 2.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Enjoyed it.
Okay.
All right. Chris Hodge, this is Mr. Ken Williams. I didn't get a chance to introduce you all.
Hi, Chris Hodge.
Yeah, he
Good
took
to
over the
meet you.
phone for you there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's your style? Curly? Straight? Wavy? Or maybe you like it natural? Introducing Secret Styling Hair Care Products by Smith Products Company, LLC. A complete line of hair moisturizers, shampoos, conditioners, and an assortment of other hair styling aids formulated for today's fashion-conscious consumer. Enhance your style. Get the secret.